आज कुछ प्रश्नों के उत्तर देने होते।
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। मीना जी इन्वोकेशन कर लीजिए प्लीज।
हाँ जी। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणी भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषि नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारतैलपूर्णप्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तत्र वेत्रेक पाणिने ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दन पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथ जला गान्धार नीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सौत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदीकै वर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवच सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितं लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरः हरः वेपीयमानमुदा भूयात् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनी श्रेयसे लोकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपायत्तहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः स्तवैः वेदैः क्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः।
श्री परमात्मने नमः। मीना जी यू हैड सम क्वेश्चंस, तो पहले आपके सवाल का जवाब कर लें, उसके बाद फिर नेक्स्ट वी विल प्रोसीड। So Meena ji asked me those questions on a personal chat, but then I felt that the questions were relevant enough to be discussed in this group, so I have put them here, asked her to share them. जी बताइए।
मेरा पहला प्रश्न ये है सर कि योगेश्वर कृष्ण ने गीता का ज्ञान अर्जुन को युद्ध के मैदान में किस प्रकार से दिया? सारे प्रश्न एक साथ पढ़ो।
हाँ, so let me answer this one. So if you go to popular mythological, and I'm intentionally using the word mythological serials, you have Krishna standing, Arjun kneeling, and some rays of light coming from the hands of Krishna, and Arjun becoming very wise. This was a conversation, right? And it was before the war started. However, we must remember, Gita is being told by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay went from Kurukshetra to Hastinapur. Hastinapur is on the Ganga, right? So he traveled all the way from Kurukshetra to Hastinapur after the fall of Bhishma. When Bhishma fell, he was at Kurukshetra. He rushed over there. And then when he reached there, Dhritarashtra is asked, what were my children doing? First tense, what were my children doing? Right? And he says, so when he goes there, if you go back to the Vyasa original, he gives the description saying that Bhishma has fallen. After that, Dhritarashtra has asked this question. And there he starts with the point where the war has not yet happened. Right? And the conversation between Duryodhan and Dronacharya. Chapter 1. Duryodhan goes to Dronacharya, starts describing the greatness of the Pandava army. Then he realizes, oh, Pandavas, I'm describing the greatness of the Pandava army. What will happen if Dronacharya gets upset? So then he describes the greatness of the Kaurava army, and so on and so forth. And then Bhishma blows his conch. Bhishma blows his conch. That is where the sounding of the battle started. However, the first arrow had not been cast. Number one. Number two, Yudhishthir had not yet done that one very amazing thing that he did. Yudhishthir, before the first arrow was cast, he told his charioteer, take my chariot to the opposite side. As the chariot moved away from the Pandava line, he stopped the chariot, got down, removed his shoes, and walked barefoot across the Maidan. And everybody was wondering what happened. Yudhishthir is known not to be a very great warrior, right? Also, he is known to be a very peaceful person. Has he decided that he will not fight? Has he decided to give up? From the Kaurava side, everybody is excited. From the Pandava side, everybody is excited. But the negative side, they are wondering. Bhishma has blown the conch. Yudhishthir has gone to do this. Now, before Yudhishthir went there, there is a discussion going on in the Pandava camp. Should we or should we not begin the war? Who will shoot the first arrow? Who will be the aggressor? This period of discussion was about 2.5 to 3 hours. Dvighatika, it says, Dvighatika. Now, Ghatika is not exactly 1 hour, right? It's a little more than an hour. That is the time that it has taken for Arjun to say, take my chariot to Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Take my chariot to the middle of the end. That's when this whole thing happened. So it's about a 2.5 hours normal conversation, right? Not how we chant. Krishna did not speak Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. He did not speak like that. It was a normal conversation. So in the normal conversation speed, as we are speaking right now, the entire Gita can be chanted about in 2.5 hours. So it's a normal conversation. Maybe because of the excitement of the war, they were even speaking faster. So they spoke possibly after that. Now, what did Yudhishthir do since I have raised that topic? Yudhishthir went there and he did pranam to Bhishma and Drona and said, before starting any venture, good or bad, I have to take the blessings of my elders. And by natural instinct, when a Kshatriya bows down to another person, and the other person is a Kshatriya, the response is Vijayi Bhava. So the Ashirvad given by Bhishma and Dronacharya to his student is, you will win. Which is what Yudhishthir wanted. So he goes there takes the permission with all humility. He opens his
गुड़िया से
slippers.
बात करो.
He goes there with all his humility and he bows down, and his elders have blessed him with victory. In this period, Arjun has also now got ready and said, yes, I have understood everything that you have told me. Right? So the conversation has ended. Next, Veena-ji, your next question. No, you're still on mute. Your question is on mute. You're on mute.
ये तो पता चल गया कि युद्ध प्रारंभ नहीं हुआ था ये कॉन्वर्सेशन के टाइम. जो लास्ट मुझे लगता है मेरे लिए बहुत कठिन लग रहा है ये, कि गीता जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो हमें तो एक श्लोक को 20 बार क्या 30 बार भी पढ़ लेते हैं तो समझ ही नहीं आता है. हर बार कुछ चेंज उसमें से अर्थ निकल के आता है. हम अपने अलग अलग एंगल से उसको देखते हैं. तो अर्जुन को देख करके और पूरा जो पढ़ने से ऐसा लगता है कि वो हमारी तरह साधारण इंसान थे. तो उन्हें कैसे इतना सारा एक साथ में समझ में आ गया कि वो सारा समझ गए और फिर युद्ध के लिए भी तैयार हो गए. और ये तो ये
what? So very
और क्या 2-3 घंटे में पूरी गीता जी उनको पढ़ा बोल दिया क्या कृष्ण ने?
तो कृष्ण ने बोल दिया. अर्जुन समझा कि नहीं? Big question, right? If Arjun had understood the Gita, then he would not have hesitated when he was fighting Dronacharya, when he was fighting Bhishma. He hesitated to the extent where Krishna broke his own vow and took up the Sudarshan Chakra and went to kill Bhishma. Right? If you go to ISKCON, you will find this beautiful painting. Krishna has taken up the wheel of a chariot and he is going towards Bhishma. Bhishma has got down from the chariot, or he's in the chariot, and he has opened his arms. He is welcoming. And Arjuna is trying to hold Krishna back. Very beautiful painting, right? Very evocative of exactly what happened over there. Because when Krishna is approaching Bhishma is a Jnani. He knows who Krishna is. So he's saying, come Purushottam. He says, come Purushottam, come Pundarikaksha. Take my life. There can be nothing better than this for me. Arjuna is holding him back, saying that you had a vow. You will not take up any weapons. I promise to fight properly. I promise to fight without mamata. Mamata here does not mean caring. Mamata here means minus. Right? In Lalita Sahasranam, we hear one of her names, Nirmama Mamata Hantri. She who kills mamata, mine. She does not have any mine in her. Nirmama does not mean cruel. Right? Some people have misinterpreted that. She is cruel. No, she is not cruel. She has no sense of my. Everything is hers. So there is no individual that is me, mine. When can I say, this is mine? Now, in my house, the whole house is mine, right? So I don't go around saying, oh, this is my corner, this is my chair, it is automatic. But because my neighbor's house is not mine, I declare this to be mine. But if this universe is mine, then I do not need any declaration. So, he says, I will fight without any mamata. Arjun did not understand the Gita. So when Gurudev was asked this question, that Swayam Sri Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Avatar Purush, realized master, was explaining the Gita to Arjuna, and Arjuna did not understand. Why is this? I remember Gurudev's face because I was there when this dialogue happened. And Gurudev smiled and said, that is because Chinmaya was not there to explain to Arjuna.
Arjun में minus is.
So, see, why is the Gita so difficult to understand? Is because, yes, Raghuji. So, why is it so difficult to understand? Because It is a universal text. When your mind changes, you perceive the truth to be different. So therefore, the deeper you go away from your mind, the more clarity will come. And that is why I keep saying, do keep on doing Manan with the same chapters again and again and again and again. Even for me, I have lived my life with this Gita. But when I started doing this at a public forum with Vivekananda Kendra, Minaji, you were part of that. When I started doing that, and Raghuji, your friend Ishwar was part of that, right? So, and as I'm explaining it now, or when I'm explaining it with my classes in the Kalpataru estate, I myself discover more layers of how I can apply it for myself. So the deeper we go, the more clarity we get, the more clarity. That clarity comes when you are getting away from your mind, when your manas and your buddhi are completely not clogging the system. Right? Raghuji will come to you after we have finished unless it is relevant to this particular question. Otherwise, okay, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
So one more thing, Arjuna might have been a normal person, agreed, and all that, but he had one thing different from all of us. He had lived the Mahabharata in the sense that from the time he was born, he was in that story. All these things, he was already in the context. When Krishna explains something to him, he's obviously tailoring his message for Arjuna, so he had that advantage. And I agree that even with that advantage, this 2.5 hours was not enough. Okay. But I want to point out that how much ever we read the Mahabharata, we are still an outsider. We will never absolutely understand everything the way Arjuna already understood everything, because he is the person in that context. So he's already embedded in the context. So that it's important that when we read this thing, we have to also try to get an opportunity to read the Mahabharata and get into the context. The more we get into the context, the better we will understand.
So, yes, you are right. However, I always say this. You have to remember that you are Arjuna. When we say Senayor, Ubhayor, Madhye, you have to understand that the Sena, in our case, there are multiple Senas and we are always in those dualities. Sena is not the physical Sena that Arjuna was facing, right? And for that matter, there is a beautiful story here. It's a story, right? It is not any part of there is no scripture around this. This is a Loka Katha. So if you go to Badrinath, you will hear this story. Badrinath ki Lok Katha hai. So Vyas Guha hai. Badrinath mein, when you go towards Mana village, there is a place called Vyasa Guha. There is also another Guha called the Mahabharata Guha, the place where Ganesh Guha, where Ganesh ji came and sat down and the Mahabharata was written. And Vyas Muni used to live 500 meters above that in another cave. So Vyas Muni had already written the entire Mahabharata. And yet he was feeling the message has not gone through. The message has not gone through. Now Vyasa Muni has written this entire Mahabharata, according to the Badrinath story, before the war has happened. Right? As a Trikaladarshi Rishi, he has written the entire Mahabharata before the war has happened. And he has realized that the message has not gone through. Ganapati has gone. Mahabharata has completed, writing has been completed. That's when he sees a golden chariot flying past. And the chariot is being driven by Arjuna, by Krishna, and Arjuna is sitting in that chariot. He rubs his eyes. He doesn't know whether it is a hallucination or not, but he gets a brainwave. And he wrote the entire Gita. Now, did Krishna therefore say it? So if you go to Badrinath, they say, no, Krishna did not say it. Vyasamuni wrote it. To explain the Gita to us, to explain the Mahabharata to us, he wrote it. Right? Now, this is the Loka Katha this is the Sthala Purana of Badrinath, one of the places of Badrinath. right? True or false? It's a beautiful story, right? We have to understand that the Bhagavad Gita is a philosophical story or a philosophical context set within a historical framework. So the moment you remove it from that historical framework, you put it into your own framework, your own history. And you are continuously caught in all sorts of dualities. The duality of the body, Shita Ushna. The duality of the mind, Raga Dvesha. The duality of the buddhi, Mana Apamana. And the Sthita Pragya is supposed to be above all these dualities. The duality of the body, the duality of the mind, the duality of the intellect. Right? The Sthita Pragya does not go and say, Ish, aaj kitna barish hai. बारिश के सीजन में बारिश होता है, ठंडी के सीजन में ठंडी होती है, ठंडी के सीजन में गर्मी नहीं होनी है, उल्टा नहीं चलना है मुझे, विपर्यासन त्याग नहीं करना है. What is there to complain? Right? That is the natural order of things. Why are you complaining? Because you have identified with the body and your body is creating a sensation of discomfort. Shita Ushna. I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. Yes, Patada. I am feeling insulted. I am feeling respected. Swami Shivananda used to do this. Swami Shivananda, it's an amazing part of his life. He used to be very, in his lifetime, he was given accolades almost every day. He was being celebrated. People used to come and give him something or the other because he was doing immense amount of service, right? Hospitals, libraries, clinics, and all of it free. And then obviously the Vedanta. So every time somebody would put a garland, and as soon as the function was over, he would go into his kutir and he would close the door. And people used to wonder, why does he run away like that? Why does everybody is celebrating? Oh, Shivananda has got one more certificate. Why does he run away? So one day, the disciples under him, they went and, those windows, you could lift the thing from outside and you could peep inside. They peeped inside and they saw he has taken his khadao and he was beating himself hard on his head, on his neck, on his cheeks, on his chest. So people rushed inside and stopped him and said, Guruji, what are you doing? He said, no, I'm just trying to check whether my mind is behaving differently between when I am garlanded or when I am whipped by chappal. Is there a difference? This is Sthita Pragyata. Right? He was doing it as a teaching. He was doing it as a teaching. But that is the teaching that we need to live with. So for that, our understanding of Arjuna's situation, that is the criticality. So therefore, I like what you have brought out here, Raghuji, that it's not about saying that Arjuna was in that history. You have your own history. In that history, look at the dualities that you have faced. Dualities in your physical life, right? Your boss, your junior, your client and your company's ethics and your client's ethics. Wherever there is a difference, there is a duality. And that duality has to fight with each other. And you are always in the middle. Yes, Parthoda, your question, please.
Yeah, I want to add something to what you said. To Meenaji, you said Manan. Go on doing Manan. That is, of course, one good way. But I have seen from my experience, I don't know whether you agree to that or not. I've seen a better way is to, even when I do Manan, I don't sometimes understand. But once I have completed 18 chapters, I come and revisit 18 chapters. And as many times as I do, my clarity comes, more dimensions open up in my mind. Because many times what Krishna said in 2nd chapter and 3rd chapter, some clarity comes in 5th chapter, or in 7th chapter, or in 12th chapter Bhakti Yoga. So what I'm saying is that if we revisit the whole thing again and again, that could be also another good way for getting clarity alongside doing manan. That's all.
Okay, should we start today's? So I think we were at 13. We'll start off with 14. Sarvametadritam manye, sarvametadritam manye, yanmam vadasi Keshava, yanmam vadasi Keshava, nahi te bhagavan vyaktim, nahi te bhagavan vyaktim, vidurdevana danavaha, vidurdevana danavaha. So, what are we saying here? He is saying, this is Arjuna continuing to talk, saying, Sarvam, all, etat, this, ritam. Ritam is the order of this universe, right? In some books, it is translated as truth. This is not truth. It is not truth. It is the order of this universe. See, this universe is not chaos. This universe is very orderly, right? See, I mean, look at the wonder, right? If the moon was just a few 100 kilometers away, more distant from the earth, the gravitational effect of that would have been lower and there would have been no tides. If we were a few 100 kilometers closer to the sun, we would have been too hot for life to exist. If we have been few hundred kilometers more towards Mars, we would have been too cold for life to exist. We are exactly where we should be. All this, I don't remember, it was, I think, Thomas Aldous Huxley, if I'm not mistaken, who said that there are more wonders in the thumb of my palm than in the poems of Shakespeare, or some such comparison. I don't remember the exact, but he's right when he says that even when you just contemplate that small thing of how this universe is constructed, everything so perfectly, there has to be a consciousness that is driving this. So here he is using the word ritam. He says ritam, right? So sarvam etat ritam manye, I accept, manye, yat, which, mam, me, vadasi, you tell, you are telling, Keshava. Keshava is the name of Krishna. He killed the demon called Keshi. So he is called Keshava. Na, neither he, in truth, te, your, Bhagavan. Bhagavan here means he who determines his own bhagya. He who determines his own bhagya is called Bhagavan. Right? Who can determine his own bhagya? Only he who knows the past, present, and future, because he lives only in the present. He redefines his future every second. And therefore he is Bhagavan. Not Bhagavan here in the sense of, oh, I am the Lord. Right? That is a different meaning. So here there is, therefore Bhagavan, Vyaktim, in your form, in your physical form, Vidu, can understand, Deva, celestial gods, the Devas, Na, Danava, the demons. So here is the very interesting truth here. And I think we were talking about this in some other session, that in chapter 9, we were talking about this. In chapter 9, it says, in one of the shlokas, it says that when a person dies, after having done a lot of punya, then he goes to Devaloka and enjoys. Right? It says that. So, Puta Punya Papaha, the shloka, right? So, that the lokas of the Danavas, or the loka of the Devas, these are lokas of Bhoga. Bhoga means not only enjoyment, it also means suffering. Right? It is only when you are here in this plane of existence that you have discrimination. The Devas don't have discrimination. They can't choose. Neither do the Danavas. They are also driven by instinct. It is only the human being who has the senses which allow us to choose. Yes, Raghuji.
So this is actually bringing me to, as you explained, Deva is that which shines, and like Suryan is a Deva. Suryan is not sentient, unlike us. And likewise, Vayu and Varuna, they're all, they shine. But they are not sentient. So that's why they don't know the supreme conscience. But we are in a position to know the supreme conscience. The demons also, I guess, are wild forces of nature. I guess they in this form, when they talk about the Danavas, is the forces of nature that destroy, not doesn't always benefit. Okay, so but again, not sentient. Again, it just happens, and so they don't understand.
So it's not about sentient, but about having the discriminatory power to choose, right? And therefore, only in the Manushya Yoni. So as you look at all the senses, you will see that there are creatures which have only one sense, right? The sense of touch. Plants. Plants don't have any other sense, right? They sense the touch of light, they sense the touch of water, they sense the touch when you touch them. And we're not getting into the physical, biological science here. I understand what Raghuji, your question. So if you look at it from a consciousness perspective.
No, I'm telling you about actual observation of consciousness in the plant.
Just one second, please. Yeah, please carry on.
This is something which I've personally observed. Where I live, in front of me, there's a park with maybe 50 neem trees. Okay, and there are lots of neem trees along my walk in the morning. And I noticed every March, April, they come into bloom. Now, all these trees are being fed water in a similar way. They are all experiencing the local climate change towards the summer in exactly the same way. Where they are located, they could always be seeing the same amount of sunlight or similar sunlight. You always find two trees that will almost be identical in the amount of sunlight they get. Yet, I noticed when they flower, you will see that not all the trees flower at the same time. They stagger, and it's not that they all flower trees in one part of the park flower together. No, it's very often a tree and the next tree is not flowering yet. This tree has started flowering. And I was thinking, what is this? Why is this that they do? What discriminates? And I realized that why are they flowering? To make fruit. And how can they make the fruit? By the help of the pollinators. But there are only a fixed amount of pollinators, bees and all that. They cannot. So if they all flowered at the same time, the bees would be overwhelmed. They would not be able to visit each and every flower. So they have very smartly understood that, okay, I got to stagger. How do I know I have to stagger? They must be the first tree that flowers, the smell must be reaching the other tree. Somehow that fragrance, we call it olfactory nerves for us. They must be having some similar sensor that senses, oh, now I'm getting a lot of neem flower smell. Okay, I better hold back. Okay.
So there's been a study on this. It is called the mycorrhizal network. Myco comes from fungus. And in any place where there are multiples of trees, not necessarily of the same species, they may be of different species also, the roots get connected through a network of fungi. And the fungi carry messages to the extent that when one tree falls ill, other trees supply nutrients to it through this network. You can Google this. It's called mycorrhizal network. MOMYCORRHIZAL, mycorrhizal network. It's a beautiful study. It's a recent study. The word myco comes from mycelium, which basically means fungi. However, Are trees sentient? We'll get into that. We say that trees have one sense, and as we progress, animals like snails, for example, right, we'll have one more sense. And as we keep progressing, we come to the mammals, to the reptiles, we will find to the vertebrata, we will find that all 5 senses are operating. When we come to the human being, the 6th sense called the manas is also starts operating, right? Buddhi starts operating. However, just to give you a story, in one of the biographies of Osho, he used to be a teacher, a professor in, I don't remember, Indore, Jabalpur, somewhere, Madhya Pradesh. And, and he used to park his car under a particular gulmohar tree. And every day when he would come to the college, he would first get down earlier. He used to go by cycle, then he used to start by car. When he was coming by cycle, he used to park the cycle also under the tree. He would hug the tree and then go for his class. When he would come back, he would hug the tree, take the cycle and go back. When he brought his car, somebody gave him a car or something. They started parking the car over there. Now people started getting jealous and they started making comments. They started complaining. He's not parking in the parking lot. He should be parking over there, and so on and so forth. Over this particular issue, he ultimately left the job. When he left the job, and ultimately when he moved away, that one tree amongst all those trees over there decided to stop flowering and died. Right? Trees are sentient. Right? We say that there is sentience in everything in this universe. That is why we say conscious. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Brahman means basically consciousness. The consciousness is not manifest. The manifestation of higher levels of consciousness happens in the human mind alone, through the human mind alone. And which is why Manushya Janma is the Durlabha. As we have seen in Viveka Chudamani, he says, Manushya Janam Durlabham. So that Manushya Janma, as you get that, and we progress from there. So here, what is Krishna? What is Arjuna saying? Arjuna is saying that I have understood whatever you are saying is leading me to make me understand how this cosmos works. Now, please tell me, how do I relate to this cosmos? Right? Which is why he uses the word vyaktim to say, how do I bring this into a personality? How do I now start interacting? Because you have given me a huge picture. Chapter 9, Akshara Brahma, you have talked of this entire universe at a very, very large cosmic level. The subtlest of all that cosmic thing that you talked about in the material world is the Omkara, Pavitram Omkara, he says, right? I am the Pavitram Omkara, I am the Rig Yuju Sama. In chapter 9, he says that. I am the Pavitram Omkara. Omkara, what is Omkara? Omkara is the first Anahata Shabda. It is called Anahata because normally we say sound will require space to travel. But we say in Panchikaran that sound came first, then it created space. Now, if you go back to the Big Bang, it's not easy to divide which came first, the expansion or the sound, right? To our ears, which are not very sensitive, we will assume that both of them happened together. Panchikaran is very clear. The Nada came first. From Nada came the creation of space. So space and sound are very closely related. That we all understand. That's part of physics. But as we understand here in Panchikaran, so the subtlest expression of the material universe is sound. And in sound, which sound? The sound called Omkar. So you have explained all that to me. I am understanding that truth. But how do I relate to this? How do I understand it? How do I interact with it? That is his question. So he says, continues to ask. Swayam evatmanatmanam Vettatvam Purushottama Svayamevatmanatmanam Vettatvam Purushottama. भूत भवान भूतेश भूत भावन भूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते देवदेव जगत्पते भूत भावन भूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थ त्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूत भावन भूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते स्वयं yourself eva indeed atmana by yourself atmanam in yourself vetha no tvam you purushottama you are the best of all purushas bhuta bhavana bhuta the material world bhavana creator bhuta bhavana bhuta isha bhutesha bhuta isha the lord of all of this creation, the god of all the gods, the shining that causes all this shining. Na tatra suryo, we have seen that, right? Na tatra suryo bhati na chandrama tarakam. We looked at that particular verse from the Upanishads last time. So you are that which is causing this. Deva meanings that which shine. You are the cause of all the signature. You are therefore the lord of this particular universe. Now, who is he talking to? He is not talking to Krishna, the physical form. He is talking to that which is representing Krishna at this point of time. That which is using Krishna to talk to you. Right? Recently, there was a very interesting, if you follow on Instagram, if you follow the Chinmaya, Swami Chinmayananda page, then, or the ID, if you follow that, there are quite often Gurudev's snippets that come. So somebody had asked a question and they gave this small snippet that, Gurudev, do you actually read minds? Do you read minds? Because quite often I have a question in my mind, and when I sit in this particular satsanga, that exact question is what you actually explain, and you are making it clear to all of us. So how does that happen? And Gurudev very clearly answered, saying that I am only an instrument. When you tune into the universe, then things happen in tune. That's all. So there is resonance, right? I don't know if you know this. If you see, there was this beautiful movie, Partha, you would have seen this, Bridge on the River Kwai, right? So if you remember that whistling song, and then they're crossing that bridge, they stop marching. They all go in random rhythm. Why? Because when you march, you create resonance. The resonance can resound with the swinging of the bridge, and the bridge may collapse. So every time an army, a platoon crosses the bridge, they stop marching. They have dissonance, right? What happens when there is resonance? The amplitude of the wave increases. If I get into resonance with this universe, then whatever is happening in this universe I become only a medium for that universe. So he's saying, I'm not doing any magic, nor am I reading minds. It's just that I have got into tune. And you can also be in tune. So here is somebody who is absolutely in tune with this universe. I am seeing that being for the first time as a person who is in tune. I'm seeing that person for the first time. I am Arjuna, and I'm seeing him for the first time as a person who is completely in tune. And therefore now I am addressing him. And beautifully now look how he's addressing. Swayameva atmana atmanam vetha tvam purushottama. You are the Purushottama. Bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. He says you are therefore this consciousness that drives this entire universe. And then in verses 16 and 17, which is where we will end today, he says, Vaktum maharsya seshena divyahyatma vibhutayah Vaktum maharsya seshena divyahyatma vibhutayah याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि वक्तुम् अहर्ष्य शेषेण Divyāhyatma vibhūtayah yābhir-vibhūtibhir-lokan imams tvam vyāpyatishthasi. Vaktum, describe. Arhasi, please do. Aseshena, completely. Divya, the divine. Ki, indeed. Atma, your own. Vibhuti, glory. Please describe your own glory. Why is he asking me to describe, asking Krishna to describe his glory? Because he knows, Arjuna knows that I cannot describe it for myself. Yes, Raghuji?
Yeah, in that previous verse, I felt that the first part, where he says, "Verily, you yourself know yourself by yourself," it struck me as like a anuvakyam. It's a very important line, because he is, and also I noticed that in these statements, it's a different Arjuna than we saw in all the
Chapter 1 and
earlier
2.
statements, where he was confused, he was there and all that. Here, that wisdom is dawning on him. You can see that in his words. And he's starting to find his place. And he's actually saying, you yourself know yourself by yourself. This is, you cannot know the Parabrahman from outside. To analyze and rationalize and try to, you have to realize you yourself know yourself by yourself. No external logic, instruments, perceptions should be brought in order to be able to understand the Parabrahman.
So to continue the discussion with, so when Gurudev said that Chinmaya was not there to explain, then the query person who was asking, he was saying that, but in chapter 10, he beautifully describes Krishna. So Gurudev said, see, when you are here in this satsanga, you forget all the vasanas and you sit here and you seem to be able to understand everything that is being told and you are in glory. And then the moment you step out, then you look for your own chappal and it is gone. Right? My chappal. The moment that my chappal comes, that whole thing goes away. Same thing is happening with Arjuna right now. Arjuna is also looking at Krishna and he's understanding, oh, this is the glory, this is how it should be. And see, so he's therefore in that, in the corporate training world, I call it training euphoria. At the end of the training program, you ask people, have you understood? Oh, yes, we have understood everything. And when you put it into practice, 100%. And then you go back after 45 days and you say, okay, let us do your review. Kya kiya? Sir, kuch nahi kiya. Samajh mein nahi aaya. Kya karna hai? सब अर्जुन है, सब अर्जुन है, हम सब, आप भी या मैं भी, we are all Arjun, right? So therefore, here he says in the next verse again, let us go back to 16. He says, Vaktum aharsya seshena divya hyatma vibhutayah. Tell me your vibhutis, tell me your glories. You alone can describe your glories. I cannot. Yabhir, right? Yabhi, by which? Yabhi. Vibhuti bhi, those glories, lokan, all these words, iman, these, tvam, you, vyapya, pervade, tishtasi, and you reside in them. Right? Now, this is not, he's not addressing Krishna as an individual. You can see that even in this verse itself. You are pervading, not the Krishna, the physical form, Krishna, the principle, Krishna, the consciousness, right? Krishna, the consciousness, Krishna, the Brahman. He is pervading this entire universe. Whether you call it Krishna, you call it Devi, you call it Shiva, you call it Brahman, you call it whatever you want to. That particular what is pervading this entire universe, Imam Lokan Vyapya, they are completely pervading. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkara in the Vishnu Sahasranama. The first word Vishwam, you are the universe. Vishnum, you pervade in this entire universe. The bhashya written by Shankaracharya on the Vishnu Sahasranam, just the first two words itself are three or four pages. Just the word Vishwam and Vishnu. To understand that, he has used entire Upanishadic and all those teachings. So here we have this same principle being talked about. Then he goes on to say in this particular verse, Katham vidyamaham yogim. Katham vidyamaham yogim. Yogim stva sada parichintayan. Katham vidyamaham yogin stvam sada parichintayan. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Chintyosi bhagavan maya. Chintyosi bhagavan maya. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Chintyosi bhagavan maya. Katham vidyamaham yogim stvam sada parichintayan. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. Chintyosi bhagavan maya. So he says, Katham. Katham here means how. Katham vidyaham. Vidyam aham. How shall I know? Yogin. To that who is to the yogin means here not the yogis. He's addressing the yogi, the supreme yogi, right? Yogin, tvam, you, sada, always, parichintayan, you are meditating, keshu, in what? Keshu, keshu, in which, right? We sometimes, when we speak in local language, we repeat the same word, na? Where have you gone? So we bad English, but then that's how we speak. So similarly here, bad Sanskrit, but here he says in the verse, Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu, in what bhaveshu forms, Chintyasi, to be thought of, Bhagavan, he who is that principle that runs this entire universe, Maya, by me. In what ways should I be thinking of you? Because you have talked to me about this entire formless thing that you are talking about, and I am actually not able to get it. You have told me to talk and think about the formless from which the Omkar came, from that which the Omkar migrated and became the Rig Veda and the Samaveda and the Yajur Veda. And then it translated into this entire universe. And then I look at this tree, but I can only see the Nama Rupa of this tree. I cannot go beyond and see the consciousness. How do I see you? How do I meditate upon you? Because see here this is Arjuna's way of moving into the principle of Ishvara. Right? He is laying the ground for the Ishvara to come. So Ishvara cannot come or will not come unless I need him to come. If I am a yogi who is completely in that, like Totapuri, living in that realm where everything is formless. Now, even Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa was not there. And it took that force of Totapuri's jhatka, of putting a pressure here, right? And telling him, meditate here, and it went. And once that it happened, then he was living in that realm. Brahmavid Brahmeva Bhavati. He got it. And then you are there. But you and I cannot be there and live there in that realm all the time because we have not reached there. To reach there, the steps that are required will be first and foremost to be able to catch hold of a particular form, which is bigger than something that I normally am. So like my caterpillar mind, which needs to catch to something before it can leave the other mind, I need that form. And therefore Arjuna is asking for this. Yes, please. Parthuda.
The doubt I get here is what is Krishna to Arjuna? He is in a position of a guru. He is imparting him he's a guru. He also say Adi Guru, Jagat Guru, whatever you say of Lord Krishna. But it is so strange that the disciple is asking Guru, please explain yourself, your glory, tell me about your glory. That means Arjuna is not convinced with the advice that Guru gives. I have never seen anybody, not even Swami Vivekananda, he did not go to Ramakrishna and say, please show me your glory. He said, how have you seen God? That is a good question. But why should I depend on you? What are your positives? How great you are. And Krishna goes on explaining his glory in Bhagavad Gita. This appears to be, that means, are we saying that unless I judge a person, I will not listen to his things, or is it that first I listen to his things and I judge him by what he preaches, what he has to tell us? So this is a question bugging me.
Okay. So firstly, this is not a judging question. It's a seeking question. It's a pariprashna. Why is it a pariprashna? Because Arjuna has here stated that I understand that you have pervaded this universe. Right? He says that in the earlier, just immediately earlier shloka, he has said, right? Imam lokan vyapyan. So he says that you have pervaded this universe, but my mind can't grasp it. I am not able to grasp it. It has nothing to do with you. So now tell me a method. That is what he's asking. Tell me the forms by which I should meditate upon you. He's not saying, he's not challenging. He's not testing. For that matter, Swamiji challenged. Huh? In what you are asking, Swamiji actually challenged. Even last minute, he was challenging. Last minute, he was challenging. He continuously tested his guru. He put a coin under the bed. If you know the story, he put a coin under the bed because he used to say, I cannot tolerate the touch of money. And he put a coin under the bed, and Thakur sat down on that bed and he jumped up and said, I'm burning. Right? And Swamiji then said sorry and he removed that coin. At the last point, when he was suffering from throat cancer, unable to speak, voice had gone, whispering, body completely racked with pain. Cancer has metastasized. Liver has gone. Eyes have turned yellow. Tongue has turned yellow. Right? You can read all of this in Leelamrita. Very beautifully described by Sharadananda. The last stages. I mean, if you just look at that, the pain that person would have gone through. And in that pain, Swamiji mentally thought, if in this state also you can declare yourself to be an avatar Purush, then I will accept you. He's still not accepting. And Sri Ramakrishna said, he who was Ram, he who was Krishna has come here again as Ramakrishna. Right? That was the last test. It is not wrong to test your guru, but testing not for the purpose of testing, but the purpose of creating greater faith. That is a different challenge.
But doesn't a guru really say, these are my glories? Ramakrishna never said, these are my glories.
No. Here Krishna is not talking about his personal glories. Please understand this. And neither is Arjuna asking for the personal glories of Krishna. It is not. Guru is only. What is Guru? What is Guru? Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Right? Yeah. So that Parabrahma can you, if Parabrahma comes to you and stands in front of you, can you recognize it? You cannot, because the person sitting next to you is also Parabrahman, na? But you have a fight with her every day. Every day you are fighting with Parabrahman. Right? Whether the dal should be right, whether what dal should be cooked, what luchi should be cooked. Every day there is a fight. You are fighting with Parabrahman. We don't recognize Parabrahman, right, when we are sitting here. Right now, Parabrahman is talking to Parabrahman. Parabrahman is listening to Parabrahman. Do we recognize that? No, we are stuck with name form. Since we are stuck with name form, Arjuna, we are Arjuna. He started today's discussion with that. We are all Arjuna. We are stuck with that name form. So Arjuna is clarifying for himself, saying, I am stuck. All that you explained up to chapter 9, this vastness, this hugeness, this infinity, nahi samjha. My mind is not ready to grasp it. Please prepare me. Make me see. Therefore, he now says, he talks about the glory, and he's not talking about his personal glory. He's talking about the glory of Brahman. He's talking about the vibhuti of Brahman manifested in this entire universe. So therefore, when he says, I am, later on we will see in this chapter, I am the sun amongst the Adityas. I am the sun amongst these Adityas. I am the ruler of these nakshatras, which means the moon. Right? Of the Nagas, I am Shesha. What is he doing? He is giving you the greatest of a particular category. So in each category, what is the greatest? That is Brahman. And that is how he's focusing our mind. What is he saying? He is saying every pot that you see is made of Brahman, is made of mud. Every pot that you see is made of mud. That is where our perspective. So now next what will happen is when you see the tree in front of you, and he says, of all trees, I am the Ashwatha. But Ashwatha is therefore an inclusion of all the trees. So now when you see a tree, what happens? Your mind moves to Brahman. That is the use of this particular glories. So here he very clearly says, therefore, keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. He says very clearly, in what ways can I think of you? He's not asking, oh, what are your glories? Tell me, because I need to judge you. There is no judgment here. It's a clarificatory, which is why we say pariprashna, right? We have looked at prashnas in three forms, right? The adhamadhikari prashna, the madhyamadhikari prashna, and the uttamadhikari prashna. The uttamadhikari prashna is such a prashna. I have tried, but I have not succeeded. Make it easier for me. Make it easier for me, right? Sometimes you go to the maths teacher. I used to have a maths teacher like that. You know, you go to him with the problem. He will look at the problem, write the answer. Answer nahi chahiye. Steps batao. Steps batao. So he will give you 4 steps. Now you don't know how he jumped from the first step to the second step. This, I did not get that link. So he adds one more step between. Right? The breaking it down into steps, that has started. 9 chapters have gone, half of Gita has gone. Arjuna's state of mind has changed. He is now ready, and his first time he is accepting that in front of him is a realized master who can explain this universe to him. And that explanation, he says, I have understood it, but I have not got it. Now I need to get it. And to get it, please make it easier. And he's giving this. So then that's where we'll stop today.
Sir, why don't we do one more verse, because that is
Yeah, I know,
end
that
of
is the
this,
last verse. Okay, we'll do that. The last verse of Arjuna's questions. Verse number 18. Vistarenatmano yogam, vistarenatmano yogam, vibhutim cha janardana, vibhutim cha janardana, vistarenatmano yogam, vibhutim cha janardana, bhuyah kathaya triptirhi, bhuyah kathaya triptirhi, shrunvato nasti me mritam, shrunvato nasti me mritam, भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम् विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम् विस्तारेण. Don't limit it. Explain details. Asheshena, in the earlier verse he said. Now he's saying Vistarena. Don't limit your explanation. Atmana, your yogam, your vibhutis, yogam, your divine, your vibhutis, your yogas, your opulences. Oh Janardana. Janardana is the name of Krishna. He who looks after the public. Right? He used to look after the benefit of his the Vasis, the Yadavas. And therefore he is Janardana. Oh yeah. Again, Kathaya, describe. Triptihi, satisfaction. Srinvata, hearing. Na, not asti, is me, my amritam. So he's saying, I cannot tire of hearing your this nectar of amrita that is flowing from you. I cannot get tired. So please keep on telling me. Now see, when the mind has changed and it has gone towards a particular thing, you want to get more of it, no? So if your mind has changed and you are attracted to liquor, then you will be looking for more liquor. Same way, his mind has changed and he has got a glimpse of that amrita. Once he has got that glimpse of that amrita, now he is going to ask for it. So he's saying, please. Thoda aur bolo na. Now you remember your grandchildren must be doing this with you, Partha, right? when you tell them some story. No, no, not enough. One more.
But
Right?
Swami, here I have a strong objection. You look at this shloka. He is telling, I have heard you, but I am not satisfied. Tell me your powers. I am telling Samir, all this you are telling very good. I have understood, but I don't accept you. Tell me your powers. How
He
are
is
you
not.
telling me all this?
No, no,
Nonsense
he's
he
not.
is asking.
He's not asking for. He's not saying I'm not accepting. He's never said he's not
It is.
accepting. Very.
I am
Say very.
not satisfied with
I.
hearing
I
your
am.
life-infusing word.
No, he's not
He is
saying I am
telling
not
that.
satisfied. Yes, he's saying. What is he saying? What is he saying? He's saying I am not satisfied with your amrita.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Tell me your powers. Tell me your yoga powers and
First,
attributes. That means, Krishna, if it is not you with
hold
these
on.
attributes, I don't
Hold on.
accept you.
Hold on. If I come
Bad.
to your house, and Bodhi cooks some very beautiful payash for me, and I have
Yes.
one bati, right? And then I say, I am not satisfied. Please give me one more. Does it mean that I am judging her?
He's not telling that. You are telling, Bodhi, how good a cook you are. Explain to me.
No,
You
I'm
are
not
telling
saying that.
that. You are not
No,
happy
I'm
with
not.
having payasam.
No, I've not said that. The
Yeah,
payasam is.
that is what
See,
Arjuna is telling.
wait here. Again, see, the cook is Brahman. So he's not challenging the cook. He's challenging the output of the cook. Not understood with the output of the cook. So the output of the cook, I am not satisfied. One vati.
Idna bola usko, oh idna suna, then he's telling, show me your powers. What
Correct.
is this?
Correct. Because he's not satisfied. See, exactly. Bodhi cooked so many things. No, last time when we did Janmashtami Puja, so she cooked so many things. Then what happened? We all went and said, no, Bodhi, some more shinni. Right? Some more of payash. And especially I remember she made payash with gur because I don't eat sugar. So she made specifically gur payash. So then I went and I had another bowl. Now,
One thing is clear, you are very naughty. That is very clear today. Naughtier than Arjuna.
So
okay, thank you.
So when we and another thing we have to remember, this is the change in mind of Arjuna towards, and it's a very beautiful construct. Till now, we have been talking of the formless, of the infinite. We have been talking of that which is completely pervading this entire universe. But if you put yourself in Arjuna's place, also you can't. You have not got it. You have understood it, but it's not clicked. That clicking requires a dilution. That dilution is what he's asking for. So therefore, tell me something that I can relate to, right? Show me your power. Show me something that is glorious so that I can relate to it. And then from there, we've talked about this when we talk about the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. Show me the known, unknown through the known. So that known, that path is what he is looking for. And therefore, chapter 10, I always say this, it is one of my most favorite chapters because it actually translates this entire Gita from a day-to-day only living purpose to a spiritual purpose. Till now, all of whatever I have said in chapter 9, up to chapter 9, you can just interpret it on your day-to-day corporate living, into day-to-day life, living in your society and so on. Chapter 10, you can't. Chapter 10, you will have to move into the spiritual realm. You are forced to move into the spiritual realm. And that is why this Gita transcribes over both worlds, the spiritual world and the material world. And it encompasses both. That is the glory of the Gita. Right? Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.